Hi everyone. We're going to be talking about different nursing resources and how to use them at the Viterbo Library's website. In this tutorial, we'll talk about the library's website and different things you can find on there. Very briefly, we'll discuss ILLiad, which is Interlibrary Loan, and RefWorks, which is a bibliographic management tool. And then we'll very quickly jump into 3 different databases. When you start your research, you'll want to start from the library's webpage. There's a link from the Viterbo homepage at the top right. From the library's webpage itself, you can find a lot of different things. You can find when we're open. You can find a chat box, and if this is open, you can get help with the questions. You can also call us or email us too. There are 2 accounts that you may have interest in signing up for before you get going on a big project. You can do them at any time. But it may help you to do them now. One is ILLiad and the second is RefWorks. ILLiad is Interlibrary Loan. When you're doing research, there are times you find the full article and there are other times that the full article is not there. I'm going to do a couple examples at some point here during this tutorial. But if you've logged into your ILLiad account and using your Viterbo username and password, you'll be ready to go if you come across something that you'd like the library to get for you. You should not be paying for your research, so using ILLiad is the way that you would request something that we do not own, and it generally takes a couple days, and you'll get an email when that item's arrived into your account. You can log back in here to retrieve it. I'm not showing you how to do this because we have separate tutorials on both ILLiad and now RefWorks, which I'll just briefly talk about. It's called a bibliographic management or a citation management program. It's like your own folder in the cloud to help you organize your research. You log into it. I'll point out one thing up here where it says sign up for a new account. And once you're in your RefWorks account, you can add new citations and then create works cited lists. So it's really handy. So again, we have very extensive tutorials on these 2 things. So in your starting your research, you can always just go to an A to Z list and type in or the name of the database and get into it that way. You can go to our article list, which has an A to Z list too, if you know the name and you just want a quick link in. Or you may start at a research guide, which is what I'm going to suggest you do. The Nursing Research Guide has a number of different items at the front page. And then we have a RefWorks tab. This is the tutorial I mentioned, so if you wanted to do a RefWorks account, you're welcome to work your way through that tutorial. And under Help and Resources, there is ILLiad links to help you get through your ILLiad sign up. So let's start the first of our 3 quick overviews of databases. The first is CINAHL. CINAHL is a great place to start. It has 3 search lines on the top. You do not have to use them all, or you can add more if you need them. The best way to search a database like CINAHL is to use short phrases. Don't write an entire sentence. It's not going to really understand that. At the bottom half of your page, you have what are called limiters. So if you know that you need a peer-reviewed article, you can put a check mark in here. There's a second page where you can do this too, so if you forget, you may certainly do the second page. There are a lot of limiters on the bottom that you can play around with. I like to start mine pretty generally. So I'm starting with just some keywords right off the top of my head, and I'm going to click on search. I like to start my searching big and narrow it as I go. So I had about 4,000 items that came up. These are almost all articles. A few may be book chapters, but for the most part they're articles. I had already told the database I wanted this to be peer-reviewed, but if you forgot, you would be able to do that over on the left-hand side. I have a date range from 1949 to 2014, which I'm not doing a historic overview, so I just kind of want to get back to the 10 years. Maybe that'll be a little more relevant to my topic. And the last thing you should know about limiters is on the left-hand side, you have a chance to focus. So if you're finding things that are really not on your topic and you feel the need to focus, these are called subject headings or CINAHL headings. They're really the formal language that the database uses to categorize. So in this case, I could probably categorize if I'm thinking about type 1 or type 2 diabetes and use the formal term. I should have fewer now. Yep, I have about 1,400. They're arranged in a list according to relevance, not date. So the one on the top is the one that most closely matched what I typed in, and yet it may be 10 years old. So you kind of want to scan this to make sure you're getting something that you want. The different things in the center of your page, your results, are going to be viewable if it says full text. So in this case, I'm going to click on it. Here's my article in the center of the page. It's an HTML full text article, which means it reads a little more like a web page. Number 2 does not say full text, but it's asking me if I want to try to find it with this linker. So you should feel free to click on that linker. If we have it anywhere else in a different database, it'll open, but in this case, we didn't have it, so I could use ILLiad to get it. Again, it won't come right away, but it's a good way to do a request. Number 11 is a full text article, so I can click on the full text and read the article. It's a PDF, so it looks very much, or it's identical to what it looked like when it was published in print. You have page numbers. It's a study, so it has lots of data, and it has a reference list at the back end of this. There are a couple of other tips you can use when you're searching. This magnifying glass brings up a shortened version of what the article is about, called the abstract. So you can scan that. Clicking on the title of an article should bring up a lot of information about that specific article. So we have our title, authors, source, where it was published, and dates. Abstract, there's our summary, and even a DOI number. On the right-hand side is where you'd be able to email yourself this information or save it. Citing will bring up an AMA or APA citation. Please double check these, as oftentimes you'll find mistakes in these. Exporting will put it into your reference account. EBSCOhost is really clear with this kind of thing, and it works really well. So when you're doing a research, oftentimes the search terms you start with are not the ones that you stick with. And that's because you can find really good information in articles about your topic. So if this was a one that you were interested in, you'd want to see how was it categorized? Are there terms I can use here to help my searching? We could spend an awful lot of time talking about just one database, but I want you to get the feel for a few of them. Another one that you may want to use is Nursing and Allied Health Source by ProQuest. It's a different company. Let's try our search here. Looks different, and yet it works very similarly. So I'm just adding in some keywords. It's asking, do you want us to find these keywords up in the title or in anywhere in the article? And I'm just usually leave it anywhere when I first start. And I will say I want peer-reviewed. This database does not have as many limiters as CINAHL, but there are some. So feel free to play around with those, keeping in mind the more you check, the fewer you'll get. So you really focus when you use limiters. If you don't care about focusing, don't have to use them. Now compare the results here. I have 60,000. That's a lot. So I will want to limit more. I've got most of them coming from the more recent years. Okay, so this database also has PDFs and sometimes not PDFs. So if you see the PDF, you have your article, or if you see full text, you have your article. And if you don't, then you're going to use the linker to try to open it, and if that doesn't work, then you use ILLiad to request it. So it's a real routine type of way to get your research done. Let's just take a look at one of these. This one is actually about type 2 diabetes, so that could be something I could certainly limit and say I'm looking for type 1 or I'm looking for type 2. I have my abstract on the top, and here's the text of the article itself. On the right-hand side, I can open the PDF, which may be a little better to read. At the top, I have the opportunity to find a citation or export. And I could just choose RefWorks here. So again, the main thing with doing any database researching is what terms are you using, how are you changing them, how are you narrowing and focusing, and then how do you access them. So librarians are always answering these questions, and we'd be happy to help you if you get stumped. Let's try one more database. I'll try a little bit more unusual one called Cochrane. Cochrane is a good one if you're looking for meta-analyses. So that would be a group of researchers who've crunched data from a number of other studies on a topic to come up with some type of informed or evidence-based statement. You can start from this little search screen, or you can do the advanced search. Cochrane has very few results compared to our other databases. So we had 35 that came up. Now, if I want to just see the reviews, you see on the right-hand side, it's saying there's a review. That means that the Cochrane researchers have taken a number of different studies and come up with their statement. So let's just try the first one. On the bottom, you have a chance to just read the summary, the standard, or the full text. The one thing you want to keep in mind is some of these are really long, like several hundred pages. They looked at 7 studies that had similar goals, and then they came up with some conclusions. In fact, this one, they said they were inconclusive just because they couldn't find enough. Okay, so that was a very, very quick overview of using CINAHL, Nursing and Allied Health Source, and Cochrane, and encouraging you to use the research guide, sign up for RefWorks, and sign up for ILIAD to get started with your research. So remember, the librarians are here to help you. We can answer questions through chat or phone or email. You can come in if you'd like to. And we have a lot of information right here on our webpage, but we're always happy to help you if you're stumped when you're searching. So good luck.